Welcome back. I want to kick this one off and say thank you to all the patrons out there that are supporting the show. And I apologize, I haven't done that in a while on here. It's because of you guys that this show's even possible, and I just want to say thank you for the support. This episode is part 2 of a 2-part series. If you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend you go back. There are a lot of people in this world trying to figure out how to overcome severe trauma. And Prime Hall is a perfect example of how to do it. God bless you all. Have a great week. Enjoy the show. Previously on the Shawn Ryan Show.
Somebody was in your window?
Yeah, it's called a peeping Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like right up on the window?
Right up on the window, watching me for years, breathing on the window, like tapping the window, like psychological warfare. My mom and dad caught the guy probably when I was 12. My stepmom was killed in a car accident. And so I got a Red Cross message while I was in training. My lieutenant was like playing God back there. And he was like, hey, I heard about this, the news, stuff happens. And but we just can't lose you from training right now. So what I'm gonna need you to do now is go back to your room, put your uniform on, and load up on the trucks.
He wants to tell a fucking 18-year-old kid he can't go see his dead stepmom. What would you say to that guy right now if he was sitting right where I'm at?
I'd just say he's a jellyfish.
Fucking piece of shit.
Weak leadership.
I hope he watches this.
And my grandmother was like, hey, I was telling her I think I'm gonna get kicked out. And she was like, you can change your life, but you're gonna have to believe it, She coached me through that shit. When I was in combat in Afghanistan and I was with those guys, it was a security blanket. How are we gonna live there for 7 months if these guys can't even go on patrol? Kind of put static out there. They're like, this is fucked. I got sent early to Afghanistan to go sign for gear as a new guy. And my secondary role was going to be Afghan local police. And I was going to be a advisor and trainer. And so when I got there, before we went to Afghanistan, the team that was there that had just moved into where we were going. It was in 2012 at the beginning, right as fighting season's kicking off, We know that, and that's a historical thing. So it's we're going into fighting season. We're going to be there for the whole thing. And it's just kicking off, so we're starting to get reports of when the team's going out on patrol, what's happening and stuff like that, And they were having to come back, and they're getting cut off, having to bound back to the base and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
They're getting a lot of contact.
Stuff that's kind of alarming. Like you're kind of thinking in the back of your head, how are we gonna live there for 7 months if these guys can't even go on patrol? Yeah. And then some of the senior guys that are kind of kind of put static out there. They're like, this is fucked. You know what I mean? They're creating chaos. It's it's there's these signals, right? You're about, this is gonna be serious shit. So that's pretty much it. So I got to go over a little bit, a week and a half in advance or whatever it was, and get into the village with the team that was about to rip out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
So they're leaving, and I got to kind of sit with all of them as much as I could and get their information of what they learned about the last deployment, and then try to absorb and learn the operational environment as quickly as possible, and stay on watch on security as much as I could, sit in the operations center as much as I could as they would allow me, and then sit in the meetings with the Afghans, with the Terps as much as I could, to understand the relationship dynamics in between the team and the police and the security force and the locals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that was a very good start to be able to see all that, see what wasn't working.
And this is in Helmand province?
Yeah.
Well, how long was it before the team joined you?
Maybe a week or something, So,
how hot was it?
How was it?
Pretty heavy down there?
It was not yet, but it was starting, and there was a couple attacks on the base so the first night I was there, they had a patrol, and one of the Afghan local police stepped on an I.E.D. and lost both of his legs within a couple hours of me getting there.
Shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, holy shit. And I was living in the interpreter, living space. And I was just thinking damn, dude, I got all my guns loaded and I don't really know what's going on here. You know what I'm saying? Cause this isn't my team, and they're giving me information, but I'm not really in the fold, and I'm a new guy too, kind of thing. So, but anyway, so base got attacked, and I just kind of was all right, everybody's finding positions and finding battle positions and stuff. So I kind of went up to my guy I was transitioning with, that was running the Afghan local police, and I quickly saw that you take a couple shots, you need to move fast and reposition yourself, because if you're just sitting there, pop, 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 you're gonna poof, pop, snap, so yeah, you got to understand your operational environment really quick, and I was kind of whoa, this is not like Iraq was for me. And some people had crazy Iraq experiences. I was just there in 2008. It wasn't like that, And so this was a lot of all of it. Gunshot, machine gun fire, RPGs, all of it,
What year is this?
2012.
This is 2012?
So this is the peak of insider attacks in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I think we got hit down there around that time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a hornet's nest. And that was at the time where things were happening here in the U.S., they burned the Quran, they had the video of the Prophet Muhammad and stuff like that, the cartoon.
Yeah.
And none of that helped us out there with our cause.
No kidding.
It really made the second and third order effects of that were very dangerous for all of them.
I want to paint a picture, a little bit about what was going on down there. So Helmand province, I believe at this time, was the most dangerous province in Afghanistan around that time period. Benghazi had just happened. There was a big bombing in Khost at a CIA base where a handful of my friends were killed. And it was in the Marine Corps was really massing up some numbers in Helmand province because it was supposed to be the biggest offensive force in the global war on terror since Fallujah, which Fallujah obviously was massive. Also at this time, Obama had chopped our legs out from under us with his rules of engagement. The new rules of engagement came out. Marine Corps is getting ready to take Helmand province. Biggest offensive force ever since Fallujah. And Obama comes out with an ROE that says, if you're shot at and the enemy drops their weapon, you are not allowed to shoot back or you'll be prosecuted. And that demoralized a lot of pretty much everybody who was down there. And So that's the picture.
That's
Worst place to
that's
go in
a dilemma.
Afghanistan. President of the United States hammers us with new ROEs, and it makes everybody wonder what the fuck we're doing there to begin with. Why are you sending us down here if you don't want us to take care of the problem?
Yeah, so from the end user being in the village at that time and what was going on with our leadership and the politics and this and what these things that people in America were doing that was causing more friction for us over there and all this, it felt like we were screwed. That everything was against us. And that's like the worst case with the government is when it turns against you and you're in the military, you know? And it's like, luckily we had savvy people on our team, you know, because we had to ask for permission to drop bombs and stuff like that when we needed to survive. And they had put the ROEs against it, you know.
I forgot about
They
that.
did that in 2012, that there are no more bombs to be dropped in the villages or however that they signed it off between Obama and Karzai. But then
Karzai was the president of Afghanistan at the time, for those that don't know.
yeah, and we got to a point to where, you know, there was even a point where Karzai had like turned on all Americans, and then we had to do like an operational pause. And this is like during that boiling point of like that was the year of Benghazi and all the insider attacks. Everything was crazy boiling point at that point. So, you know, it really, you know, that was a very enlightening experience on a lot of fronts being over there, living, because, you know, I kind of wanted to be on the commando mission. It really sounded cool to be able to fly in and, you know, do these commando missions and stuff like that. But, and living in the village, living in the village, in an enemy village for 7 months, where you're like in a little supply hub fortified with sandbags, or you're at the team space that's like a compound that we took over and reinforced. You're not on base, you know, flying to do these missions and coming back, where you can work out at the gym. There's like a little pool there, you know, all this stuff. So, but living in there for 7 months was like you know, definitely a very impactful experience. Because of the insider threat and the threat, we had to revalidate anybody that worked with us every 30 days. So that was a good process for me, and just like I'm fascinated with human performance and human intelligence and people and what makes them do certain things, you know. So like I enjoyed doing those monthly interviews with all the people that worked for me or worked with me from the Afghan, you know. But my biggest thing when I got over there was I started working with the Afghan local police, and that was my main thing. So I ran about like 60 of the Afghan local police with my interpreters, you know, and so I did a lot of training, and then, you know, they were in combat every day. So some of them would get killed, and we had to do training classes every week to keep everybody, have enough people to support each other at the checkpoints and stuff. Because it was like live at that point.
Yeah.
Sometimes, dude, that was a hard part, is like, you know, I did these training classes, and sometimes there would be, you know, guys that came in that did a training class, and they're from this other part of Afghanistan or this other tribe or whatever, and they brought like 5 guys with them from their village, and they all went through the Afghan local police training, you know, and they all got graduated certs, picture. Now they're got guns, you know, and now they're at a checkpoint, and now they're on patrols, and then they get killed in a couple days, bro.
Damn.
That was like really challenging, you know. But it's like, dude, we're literally like, we have no white space. We're in an enemy village. If you put your hand over the wall for like a minute or two in the daylight, you're gonna get shot. Like, no question asked. They're gonna start shooting at you. I used to take serial numbers off the vehicles and I have to do it all at night. Because, like, if I pop my head up, taking serial numbers off of the machine gun on the vehicle, or like these little silly serial numbers that are on all the little mechanical things, dude, I get my ass shot off.
Yeah.
There were times like where I would jump in the canal. There's a canal right in front, and get lit up and have to like bound back into the little gate, But dude, all of us that were over there for that 7-month thing was the craziest experience of my life. Like that 7 months alone was just like, when I think of any deployment, that's the only one that I think about.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Like, ever.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Keep going.
Yeah. So, and then I think it's important for anyone listening to understand that there's this like comparison trap, where we all compare each other, and there's like this imposter syndrome thing where it's like, oh, well, because I only had 4 deployments, or whatever it was. But it's like people had 20 deployments. But I never went to sniper school. But this guy went to sniper school and he had 2 more deployments than me and all this stuff. Or people tell me, well, I never did anything like you. And it's like, no, dude, nah, come on, bro. Like, no.
Yeah.
Whatever that you did is like meaningful. You know what I mean? So like I've felt resistance, like, knowing that I was going to come on here, because I feel personally there's all these guys that have so much more experience than me. Why am I here? But it's like, we all feel that. Everybody has their own version of that like questioning or doubt or whatever that is. So, but going into Afghanistan, dude, like, the biggest thing was like, I didn't want to, I guess, fear of failure and fear of death, fear of like getting someone, fear of one of my teammates getting killed, and worst case for something that was my fault, and so like, I don't know, dude, like,
Did you fear death?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, I always prayed, like real quick, but just like, I always had like a spiritual kind of health connection going on with God, or what,
Well, let's get in. What were you got? What's like a daily routine for you on this deployment?
Wake up. Sometimes we do missions at night, and we would have like an ambush patrol in the morning or something, and then you get back around 9 a.m. or something like that, and then you either rest if you were up all night, or you're on watch every day, once or twice a day. You're in the ops center on security watch, tracking everything, the whole battle space as much as possible with whoever's in there with you. And then doing a lot of like Afghan local police training or whatever we're doing. Like, we had checkpoints that we had to like build and stuff like that. So
what kind of missions were you guys doing at night?
For us, it was, our mission there was village stability operations. You know what I'm saying? But to really do that and support like development and governance and all that, like, there has to be locals.
Yeah.
There's no locals, dude. It's just enemy. It's just fighting. It's an enemy village, dude. It's all black compounds. You know what I'm saying?
I do,
Yeah.
but the audience doesn't.
So
that's why I'm asking you to describe what were you guys doing at night?
What were we
What are
doing
the
is,
missions?
we were doing ambush patrols, because we basically had people coming up way too close.
What's an ambush patrol?
Where we go out, and set up an ambush and wait for people to try to come, like, to start moving back and forth, enemy, that are going to come, like, into our space or, whatever. And so it's a lot of it works off of like positions, and the Taliban and whoever it is very smart at understanding like where our camera is at our base or wherever our thing is, and then where they need to be on the other side of that so that we can't see what they're doing, So we would have to go a couple tree lines over in the green zone of Helmand and kind of camp out and wait for the activity for the party to start in the morning whenever everyone woke up and started turning on their motorcycles and passing weapons and ammunition and all the stuff that they do and calling each other and all this stuff.
Did you guys ambush a lot of bad guys?
Definitely some.
What was the first one like?
What?
The first engagement? The first ambush?
The first ambush was, basically waiting out with, I think it was me and our team leader and a dog handler and then a bunch of Afghans and an interpreter, the local police, an interpreter. There was an enemy that was in the other tree line that was like moving around and then started to engage us, and then we engaged them, and then we popped smoke and went back to base. Round one.
How many times were you guys doing that?
What's that?
How many times were you guys doing
that? Was like at the very beginning. That was like one of our first ambush patrols. But we would it's like, dude, the Taliban is pretty crafty. So like you're fighting them every day, but they're hiding from you the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like real modern warfare, and so once you throw in like drones and stuff like that, then then you can start to, move around, you get access to things and all that stuff. But like,
were you guys killing a lot of bad guys? Did you disrupt a lot of supply chains?
Yeah. So, I don't know, it's from my experience, we had, we had a mortar team that was with us, an Army mortar team, and we had serious experience, combat experience, JTAC Operator on our team, and operators, and like, a lot of those, it's hard to say how many people got killed, but like, it would be a lot in one day, and they would just like replenish them, but maybe tomorrow when there's 100 more that respawn, that they send from Pakistan or whatever, that they might be the C team, or the D team. So they might be just shooting like up in the air, and you could like sit here and eat your dinner before you even deal with the problem.
Oh man, they were that.
But then the next day you have the A team, and it's like they got us locked in with like grenades, dude. Like, UGLs. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Or like whatever it is, they got us locked in, or this is the A team. There were times where we closed the site down, and so one of our cameras comes down. This is at the end of deployment, and like they all moved in on us. So we got like hammered, dude.
Shit.
That was and the NCIS was there with us.
What were they doing there?
They were there interrogating us and trying to burn us because like when we had moved or like whatever, like during the thing, our medic had lost morphine, right? Which had probably gotten stolen from one of our terps.
Yeah.
Or like, they were.
So they sent NCIS into the hottest province in Afghanistan to do an investigation for a lost thing of morphine.
Yes, dude.
Interesting.
And I'm wondering when this episode is going to make it on their show. Nah. No, but so yeah, dude, this was like street justice because they all interrogated like our medic and our team members and all this stuff, and this is at the end of deployment, dude. Like we've lost like we got people who got seriously wounded, and there's been people getting killed at our little spot there.
MARSOC guys seriously wounded?
This episode is sponsored by HVMN. You've heard the buzz about ketone supplements and how they can boost your workouts by helping your body use fatty acids for fuel. I take a shot of HVMN ketone supplement before my morning workout. It's focused energy. It's not an energy drink though. It's like a feeling of being in the zone. I don't feel hyper jittery, anxiety, stuff like I get when I drink too much coffee. Ketone IQ comes in portable, convenient shots. They're great for cycling, long runs, and all kinds of workouts, and can help you stay sharper on a regular basis. We also just received some exciting news. In addition to being available in select Equinox gyms, Ketone IQ can now be found in local Sprout stores nationwide. The taste may not be great, but it doesn't really matter. I wish I had this product when I was on active duty. Let's just say I think the product's pure. Again, it's not an energy drink. It's not full of a bunch of stimulants. You could get better endurance. You don't get the crash. And it could help curb the appetite a little bit. Definitely a unique opportunity here in offering my audience 20% off your order of Ketone IQ. You can find Ketone IQ at hvmm.com. Use the promo code Shawn at checkout to save 20%. Plus, if you subscribe, you can save even more. This stuff is great for daily use. Use the promo code Shawn. Again, that's hvmn.com. Promo code Shawn for 20% off Ketone IQ. This episode of The Shawn Ryan Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. With everything happening around us, it can be hard to focus on our well-being. Many are stretched thin and burn out from burning the candle at both ends, and that's where therapy comes in. Caring, compassionate listeners like those at BetterHelp.com. BetterHelp is a 100% online source for therapy. It has helped thousands find peace of mind and direction in these trying times. BetterHelp.com understands we all need to develop better coping skills and ways to set our boundaries to empower us to become the best version of ourselves. Let me recommend BetterHelp.com if you've considered trying therapy. After a brief questionnaire, you'll be matched with a licensed therapist that you can switch at any time. If you don't feel it's a good fit, it's zero charge. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Shawn today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Shawn.
The Operation Goat Rope, right? Which is something that stands out to me that is a good memory for me of a mission that we had. And there were a lot of our Afghans that were that had been getting killed on this road that the Taliban was sneaking in between these compounds and putting these bombs in the same part, and they were just running over them and driving over them, and like mass casualties and stuff like that from this one thing. And then we wanted to take care of that problem, so we wanted to occupy a building, that was in the green zone so that we could eliminate this problem, have security in that area where they were sneaking in. And so we had no support. This was at the beginning of the deployment. So I had devised a plan with my Afghan local police commander that my team leader let me run. So basically, there's a goat herder that brings his goats in front of my little compound every night to take back to their goat pen. So I wanted to use all these goats as a counter I.E.D tool to like funnel them down the road to have
That's
them
genius.
function the IEDs.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
How'd you do it?
We did it. So we had the goats. We had some of our Afghans, locals that worked with us that basically were like, had experience with the goats, commands and stuff. So they're like whipping them and telling them where to go and corralling them. But we had a goat. We had our engineers build a goat pen. So we took all these goats and promised the goat herder that we'd pay him, you know. And he was like, no problem. You know,
How many goats
take
are we
'em.
talking here?
Like 130
Holy
something
shit.
maxed out, dude.
So you guys are already in a small space.
But we had a little Hesco goat pen. That's outside, maxed out with goats.
You find a goat herder. What did you
It
roll
fell
him
right
up?
in my lap though, because this guy's literally coming right back and forth. You know, I was like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So we took the goats. He allowed us to pay him, promise pay him later when we get funds, which we did. But in the morning when we took off on the mission, the goats led the route down the road and functioned all the I.E.Ds minus one. There was one that still got functioned later in the day with the goats on the way back that we all made it over on the way there. That's what's crazy about I.E.Ds is that there's legacy I.E.Ds, there's older ones, there's newer ones, there's ones that are more sensitive, there's ones that you might be able to step on and not function, but that the next guy might function it. You know, and then there's ones that have been there for like, dude, we had times where we had been on an area and we had done an operation where we had vehicles there. We slept out on the ground. Like we had cleared it 50 different ways. And then one day when we were driving back out, a legacy functioned.
Damn.
In that same place where we were all laying and living and walking everywhere. And like, dude. So after that, I'm like, dude, I don't know what's what here. Every step I take needs to be intentional. There were so many times I almost stepped on something that was like disturbed earth or there's sign of I.E.D. There's I.E.Ds everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like we found or functioned so many I.E.Ds, and I had so many of my Afghan local police guys that I was like in meetings with like this, and then they would take off and then they would be back medevaced within an hour, and like it's like their soul is gone. You know, we're doing medical stuff on them, but they're not there anymore.
Damn.
I.E.D. over and over and over and over. You know, it's like, so the thing was like, dude, we'll sacrifice these goats to save human lives all day, you know?
Yeah.
So the goats did work. They found or functioned all those ones on the road. And then we fed them into the compound that we were going to occupy. They did all the same thing in there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
More goats than could fit in there, and they all found or functioned, all of them. Some of them went off, and then the ones that didn't go off, you could see where everything was at. You just, you know, whatever, deal with it. But anyway, so
how many goats, how many I.E.Ds? So hold on.
dude, but a lot of those goats didn't survive. They went down for the cause.
Really?
Yeah.
So you took 100 and something goats and just marched them on this exact
Counter
route
I.E.D.
that you guys were going to drive.
Yeah.
And the goats would basically take the hit.
Yeah.
And then you would keep the goats going into the target that you were going to hit or the house you were going to occupy or whatever it was and just let them run around
For
in there.
this one time, this wasn't like this wasn't a recurring thing. This was a one-time thing that we did that worked.
It's genius.
Yeah.
I've never heard that. That was your idea?
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
And then we got them back, you know. Yeah, I left, you know, I left that off of my college applications for business school, you know. But nah, dude. So that was cool. I really liked working with, you know, the Afghans have a completely different culture, you know, and values and all that stuff is different. But, you know, it was interesting, and a lot of it was, you know, like related to growing up on the border of Mexico, you know, and being like a gringo and dealing with like rough customers, you know, and then being over there in the village and it's like, hey, dude, here I am again. Like, same thing. It's just like being on the job site down the border, like being in that environment. And so every experience, you know, can like feed into the next. But then, you know, a big, like my biggest thing that, you know, replays over and over and over and over is the insider attack, you know, and like,
I know that's a big part of your story.
Yeah. And, you know, everything happens for a reason. And, like being in an insider attack, it's not like a heroic thing, you know? You got attacked. You were in the open, you got attacked. You got hit with, you know, I got hit with rocket propelled grenades, you know, and I wasn't tracking that the guy that was up there in the tower was, instead of being focused out like he normally is, that he turned all the weapons in on us in this little ass compound that's like the size of like a small parking lot, you know, like a Walgreens. And so, you know, 3 days before that, so this is August 13th, 2012. So 3 days before that, 3 raiders had, from a team close to us that was in my company and our command, had gotten killed in an insider attack.
Shit.
3 days before, dude. And they were all close to us. And we were on a mission when we heard the medevac call. And we had to cancel the, like, we weren't going to stay out there overnight after hearing that there were those 3 guys got killed and there was 1 wounded. Like, you know, that was like, and then guys went back for the funeral from that. And so like, that's all happening. There was a couple other raiders that had gotten killed, I think in Kandahar within that week. So there's a lot going on. And, and then on 3 days later on August 13th, and we had just gotten so I lived in a little, kind of like supply hub, base, you know, and the main team lived at a different base that was like a click away, like a kilometer, you know, through the green zone. That's also filled with I.E.D. So it might take you a little longer to get there, but it's there. Right. And so for us, we're right next to the village. So that's what we were doing, a lot of the village engagement and like logistics and whatever else. So, but just knowing that at this little thing, there's only 3 operators. There's an Army infantry squad, and there's the Afghan Special Forces team, and the Terps. That's all we had. And so this other spot has like Army squad and the whole team, and all the reinforcements and all the stuff.
So there's only 3 guys over here.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, and there was a lot of our team was gone at that point because like we would do logistical runs sometimes to Camp Leatherneck, you know, to get ammo, supplies, whatever it is, come back. So we had guys that were gone, so we were like down. So anyway, I would get woken up in the morning, and you know, I'm training. Every week I'm doing training classes, and then I filled up how many guys I could have on my payroll. So then I had made a deal with the Army SF team that basically you guys have more availability on your roster. If we train this other guy to set up a checkpoint in his village, can we put those 20 guys under your guys? When? Yes, solid. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we did that. We made that deal. We trained these guys, these Afghan guys, and then they didn't want to work for the SF guys because they trained with me, or they trained with us. So their culture, they're like, no, you're our leader. You trained us. It's like, whoa, no, that wasn't our agreement. You know, like you're supposed to be with these guys. So there was this whole fallout with this guy that was supposed to work as an Afghan local police commander that wouldn't work for the Army SF guys. So I told him, I was basically telling him like, dude, when he would come to the gate to talk to me and I would go out there, I'd be like, go away. Like, dude, because he refused to do, we trained him and did everything. We had all the weapons. We had everything set up, and he's getting beat up by the Taliban in his village. Like he's getting, all these things are happening. It's like, dude, now's the time. Like, you know, so I got woken up this morning with this guy that's been causing all these problems, like saying he's going to do this stuff, never fulfilled anything. So I get woken up at 7 a.m. I go out to the gate, you know, and I'm like, dude, go away. You know, it's always a story. Like, whatever. I'm with my interpreter. This is during Ramadan, and it's during, it's hot, dude. It's like 130, like 100 plus degrees all day long. And we just got a new Afghan Special Forces team. So that's like the background of it, a week ago. So we just started training with these guys. And from the looks of it, we were calling them the Force Recon Afghan SF team because they all had really long beards and they were like fighters. Where we got into some serious like situations with our last Afghan SF team, and they did not look like fighters. But when it came down to it, they performed,
Yeah.
But those guys that we had that relationship with, that we went through those missions with and survived, they were gone now. We had these new guys. And all I had was just the experience of them training with me and the Afghan local police because they were like kind of the advisors helping to train them in a way. And it was a great experience so far with these guys. But little did I know, that one of them was like, had it out with, with whatever, with everyone, with them, with us, with the whole thing. And like, decided to vote that morning and went up to the tower. We have these 3 little security towers and we get attacked almost every day from the village. So like the towers are, attacking target reference points and enemy positions in the village, right? Mm-hmm. That are attacking us every day, pretty much. So it's hard to think psychologically. It was hard to think because that was like our security bubble, dude. That little bubble was security. It's not safe to walk outside in the daytime. It's not safe to expose yourself. But inside that little thing, especially if you're behind the wall, like you're not going to get hit, and that you're safe in there. There's nothing inside that's going to get you. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that kind of is part of it, where it's like psychologically when I was sitting there, because when I came back in, I went to we had a little kitchen that was right next to where the interpreters lived, and I got like a bowl of cereal and I sat down. And I'm sitting at a picnic table, like wearing board shorts, a tank top with like a Glock on my board shorts on a holster, and my sunglasses are on top of my head. And I'm sitting at a picnic table and I get rocked unconscious. Boom. And next thing you know, I'm on the ground back here that's right by the interpreter's living space. And I was like doing this weird thing where I was holding my eyes open and it was blacked out. And I was thinking that because I had this little Polaris that I would cruise around short spaces because it's like, but I was, and the Polaris was right next to the picnic table. So for some reason, my first thought was that the Polaris exploded on me, that it detonated, like an I.E.D. or something. And I was on the ground and I was holding my eyes open and I was in very much panic because I was blacked out and I thought I was blinded because my glasses were on my head. And I was like in a disparity, it's a weird series of events that happen, because once I could see, I'm still on the ground, but then I start seeing like the Afghan Special Forces, team chief. That's like the guy that's in charge with the officer. The team chief is like the leader from my experience so far. I see him drop a bag of RPGs and run away, Then I see another guy run out of our compound in the daytime. That's like unheard of. One of the Afghan SF guys in an enemy village. So that was all like kind of like, whoa. And then I got, and this guy had been shooting RPGs, so the first RPG hit close to me, right? There's shrapnel in every part of this table. Everything had shrapnel. There's RPG fins everywhere. Like he ended up letting loose like 12 of these things in a small area. So all of our stuff was destroyed. All of our tech equipment, our camera systems, all that shit's destroyed. And like, it's like, whoa, everything's smoking. Like, and I thought we were locked in with mortars, dude. So I thought like we were under attack and it was the A team, and I thought they had us like directly locked in with mortars and they were just dropping on us, you know. And I got into the interpreter hooch and like, or the interpreter living space, and they're all holding hands like this. And they're like, and I'm real tight with the interpreters, you know, and they're like, big problem. And they're all holding hands together. I'm like, damn, dude, I gotta, like, this is gonna do nobody any good to be in here. You know what I mean? I gotta get out. I gotta make moves. So I got to the operations center, which is just a little bunker covered with sandbags. And when I got in there, he's right on top. That was where the shooter was, dude. He's right in the security tower on top. So he starts hitting the operations center direct top down with RPGs. There's 4 of us inside of there. We're all rocked. Every time that thing hit, there was one guy that was down under the desk, and there was 3 of us that were standing up, and we were rocked every single time. And it was insane. And it was a crazy thing because there's enemy everywhere, dude. There's enemy in the village everywhere.
Yeah.
There's aircraft on station that's spawning enemy everywhere. There's guys that ran out of the compound, and it's like, what's going on? What's happening? And then one of the army guys came over and said, one of the army infantry guys said, hey, one of the Terps is up here, and said that one of the Afghan special forces guys has gone crazy in the tower and needs to get killed. We're like, whoa. At least we know what's going on, you know what I mean? At least.
So up to this point, you didn't realize this was an active shooter?
No clue, dude. We didn't know it was coming from inside at all.
How much time has passed, do you think? I know you probably have no idea.
Who knows, man? But like, definitely I'd say 5 minutes maybe.
Okay.
I mean, but dude, like, there's a lot happening, a lot of reloads and like a lot of RPGs and like a lot of like crazy things that are materializing in that 5 minutes. You know, there's a lot of like damage and stuff being done. And you know, what ended up happening is we, with like the guys that were there that were, you know, senior to me, that were raiders that were luckily in the operations center, like helped clear out the compound. Because we didn't know what was clear and what wasn't at that point. Now that we have an active shooter, who else is an active shooter? You don't know, so you have to clear everything like it's not safe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we clear out, we get up to the side, and then when we got to the back, all the Afghan Special Forces guys, these are like all the OG guys that are like been so impressive to train with the long beards and everything. They're all handing their rifles like, we're done. Like, you guys help. Because 3 of their team members were dead on the ground. This guy was killing them, active shooter, killed their captain, you know? Like, because throughout this thing, people are like thinking, they had a couple of their guys thinking we were getting attacked from outside the village. So they initiated the battle drill and they were running up to the tower. And the guy was like, if you come up anymore, I'm going to shoot you. And domed him. Boom. So now there's a guy shot in the head on the side of the stairs going up to the tower. Then now the captain tried to get up on their living space to shoot his own guy once he realized what was going on. And as soon as he popped his head up, this guy domed him. So their captain got shot, killed, fell off. He's dead on the ground. And then another guy, same thing. So that's why they were all, because all their guys that got killed. And they were you know, so they actually were the ones, you know, to help. Like, we worked with them and got the situation done. But, dude.
Hold on. How'd you get it done?
That guy's up there in a semi-enclosed position shooting, like, over 10 RPGs. He's done himself. He smoked it. Like, that whole post was on fire, dude. Like, he was, like, dying inside. There's no way that guy wasn't dying. That the backblast of each of those RPGs, it's almost like doing it in a closed room. They were ballistic. It was a ballistic post that got shot every day. That was bulletproof. That didn't have air. Like, it wasn't like clear backblast area.
Oh, okay.
So he was shooting these rockets.
He was
blasting
shooting from
himself.
an enclosed room.
Yes.
Not even really a room.
No, it's an enclosed post.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was one of those towers where it was open.
No, so it's like, dude, you could have shot a paintball gun at that guy at the end, and he probably would have died. You know, like that's nothing to, you know. But he offed himself by shooting all those rockets in that enclosed position, dudes. He was on fire. You know.
Yeah.
We called it Ghost Post after that. But yeah, so that, you know, that insider attack thing, I didn't, it was like right after it happened, because, you know, I failed my exams afterwards. So I got flown out for concussions because I had a loss of consciousness and whatever else. But a lot of people got, TBIs on that with all those RPGs and stuff. A lot of people got rocked. So there was a lot of our team members that got, you know, flown out. But a couple of my team members took me over and like immediately afterwards and shown me the situation and like shown me like the forensics kind of on it. Like, dude, look where you were sitting. Look at this. Look at like my tray, like my cereal. Like, look at all this stuff. There's shrapnel in every single thing, dude. Like, you know, like took a picture and like it was definitely something. But then after that, I was like, went, you know, got medevaced. And then, I mean, like I said, dude, we had our executive officer in our company was back, lost both of his legs on the previous deployment and was back on that deployment, double amputee above the knee. And so when you know, medevac for a concussion, you know, and it's like, dude, I got to get back. Like, I'm good, you know, I got to get back to, and so,
To your boys.
yeah. So everybody that got sent, we all got back like within 2 days or something back to the thing. But, dude, those RPGs, that like concussion was severe, for sure. And I still like, I've had a lot of like, you know, I've recalled that memory of like that initial thing, that boom, you know, so many times, dude. Like,
Did any Raiders get fucked up in that?
you know, like fucked up with concussions and probably their ears blown out, or, you know, fucking memories of like all the shit, you know, because there were a lot of insider attacks, you know, so then it kind of gets into, you know, but there's a psychological part of it is what I'm trying to get at, communicate to you, of your safe space being interrupted and your safe security bubble of what you like know and depend on for your fucking life, you know, to be your safe space, that like compromised, you know, is what kind of like has kept me up at night, you know.
Yeah.
And I know it's kept some of my other teammates up too, you know, is that safe space shit. And so, you know, again, like, I look at it like Mr. Magoo. Like, dude, I was there at the table. I got blown off. And then I just made it into this and then crawled over here and then made it into here in between all these RPG blasts. I didn't even know that was it. I thought it was something else.
Yeah.
So.
And that was your first deployment?
That was my first legit
MARSOC deployment.
Yeah, that was my first MARSOC deployment. Yeah.
Damn. What was it like going back?
Coming back to the States?
No. You said you got medevaced. What was it like going back to the same spot?
Damn, dude. I mean, it's definitely a wake-up call. What was cool was that, like, all of my Afghan, like, local police, like, like my commander and all the people that I worked with, they were all like, because the Afghan special forces guys did it. So these guys were like, dude, they were so mad that they had done that, you know? And so they were like, no one's ever gonna, you know, and that's a big reason why I feel like I never got I never got hit with a insider with my Afghan local police, is because the commander had made the pilgrimage to Mecca, right? And that was my guy that I worked with. So he had like a religious status with everybody that they didn't want to, do you see what I'm saying? That they didn't want to cross.
Yeah.
And because he blessed me off, that saved me from some attacks, I feel like.
Wow.
Now, so, you know, I had to just I was just like, be as cautious, like be as diligent as possible. You know what I'm saying? Being out there and not doing stupid stuff, not taking extra steps, you know, not like trying to force going on missions, you know, like all this kind of stuff, like thinking smarter and then like how to set the next team up for success so they don't have to come back to this place, you know? So like that kind of stuff. But it was crazy because at the end of deployment, you know, I had all these crazy experiences with my Afghan local commander. And like there was one day where we were doing some local police training and he came up and he was like, hey, can I leave my son here? You know, whatever. And he left one of his sons. So it was like maybe 7 years old or something. And he gets in his truck and drives around the corner, hits a I.E.D, boom, blasts him, like launches him. Double amputee, launched. And like, so I had to get him, like, so he got on a flight and got airlifted out and all that stuff. But once he got into like a regular hospital, like in Kandahar and stuff, like the Taliban was green lighting him and coming after him and stuff like that, you know? So it was like, when I was leaving, I was talking to him on cell phones and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you know, a month before I'm leaving, I'm like, hey, you know, I'm going to have like be, you know, getting ready soon, whatever, you know, like whatever. I can't tell him like any information of what I'm, you know, but just kind of like, hey, I might not be here forever, you know? And so he came and visited me before I flew out and was like all wrapped, like his legs were still all bandaged and wrapped, and they drove him in a car and like
Damn.
all that shit. So, so that was cool that I got to see him because, you know, we had a lot of conversations and he was like a warlord out there. Like he owned all the poppy fields in this area and all these different stuff. And so it's interesting when you get to work, you know, work with people from different backgrounds like that, you know?
Yeah.
So
Some of those guys have some pretty fucking amazing stories, you know, especially those old timers like that, you know, rising up against the Taliban before we ever came along. And there's been I've talked to some good ones too, that man, there's some fucking warriors over there,
yeah.
you know?
Oh yeah. And their family was killed by Taliban and their family was killed and like da-da-da-da, and they're just fighting and resilient and like, you know, whatever. But again, it's just a different culture, different values. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in Texas, like I know that there's people in Texas, if you told them like what the things that happen over there, you know, and stuff, what? Well, it's like, hey dude, this isn't Texas, homie. You're in Afghanistan, dog. Like you're in the mine. You're in they're all doing heroin. Their life is literally on the line every day. They live in a heroin field full of poppy and it's 130 degrees and they live moment to moment. Like, and you want us to create a program where we start drug testing them and, you know, enrolling them into like, it's like, nah,
Yeah.
like dental program, you know, but dude, there are some like amazing kind of wild characters out there, you know, and I got to bring a dog back home from Afghanistan.
Did you?
Which was really cool. Yeah. My commander gave me an Afghan coochie dog, like a mountain dog.
Like the fighting dogs?
Special. No, yes. Yeah. But these are like, you know,
I mean, I know you didn't
mascots.
fight them, but
Yeah, but yes.
I mean, these dogs are
Legit. Yeah.
they're big.
Yeah. And so this was a female. And some of the males are like, you know, and then they cut the tail and they do different things that make them like, but they're like, you know, warlord dogs kind of thing. But
Yeah.
dude, they're really special dogs, and they gave it to me as a gift when I was over there, like my first month in Afghanistan, and this little puppy would sleep with me on my cot and would wait for me when I get back from missions and stuff. And so I ended up, dude, that was like a saving grace. I got that thing. He was with me for a few months of deployment, and then I kind of got him on got him with, you know, rat chained out with like, hey, this guy's going to Kandahar, and then they can drop him off here. And then he went to quarantine and then flew him out. And it was a organization called the Puppy Rescue Mission that was like rescuing dogs
Oh, that's cool.
for military.
You still have them?
What? It just passed away this year, bro.
What was his name?
It was a girl. Her name was Nari,
Nari?
because the canal was the Nari Siraj.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah. So her name was Nari, and then they renamed her Tali for Taliban because she was like all, like you know, like if a plane would come over, you know, because there was an airport in the town, that the dog would like, you know, hit the ground, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But dude, it's really cool because the dogs can't survive over there. They're gonna hit an IED. They're gonna like, whatever, dude. It's hard to live out there, you know. So that was cool. That was a win. But overall, like I remember leaving, you know, when I left Afghanistan, and I don't remember having any emotion when I was over there as far as crying or doing anything like that. But when I left and I was on the helo out with a couple of my teammates, I broke. You
Really?
know? Yeah. Because it was just a lot, dude.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
And like there's, you know, when shit hits the fan, there's always like, you know, there's other people there, like a generator mechanic or, you know, other people that aren't fit to be in that environment that you have to like look out for and make sure that you
Yeah.
protect them, you know, and whatever else. But anyway, it's a lot, you know, and, dude, super valuable, you know, and, haunting and invaluable, dude, like full yin and yang, you know, light side, dark side of it all, you know, like, full breakdown, full breakthrough. It's like a dilemma with soft too, because it's like operator syndrome, you know, and the study that they did. But it's like that's what my experience was. Like I got to a point where I burned I wasn't able to have any relationships with even my closest, like my grandmother. You know, like I was in just like, but it's a dilemma with SOF, and it's like you know, because I mentor kids going in and work with kids going into SOF branches, and at first it's like, why do you want to go in? And it's like, no, that's not a good reason. You know, why would anyone want to go in?
What would not be, what's a reason that you've said that's not a good reason?
Like a really good one that's like superficial, that's a great example, is like, well, I don't want to have a regular job, or I want a cool job. It's like, I don't care what job you want. That's not a reason. Why do you want to do this? This is like the hardest thing that I've ever experienced. Mm-hmm. That like literally like I got friends killing themselves from doing this job. They made it back from Afghanistan, but they didn't survive the experience. So how am I going to turn around and tell you it's a great idea to go? But at the same time, like some of the biggest learnings and some of those most meaningful things that are in my life are from that thing.
Yeah.
All my relationships, that I have from that stuff. Like my friends that got shot with me on that were on my team, I see them, like one of them is one of my close, like they're both my close friends, and I see them both. Like one of them I see multiple times a week and he works with me, and the other one I see like at least monthly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we're all like, that's what keeps us resilient, is that we're connected, you know?
Yeah.
But it's a dilemma with soft, because it's like, dude, you can go and you can get this experience and these skills and go to these courses and get in these positions to really like stretch your human potential, you know, way outside of what you thought was capable, right? But then it's a dilemma because there's something missing that people are breaking down, and they're not able to. It's like the things that make you so good at your job overseas, that breaks you if you come home with that. If you're hyper vigilant, if your stress response is always on, if like all that. But dude, if that's not on when you're in a high threat environment, that's like, you're not going to survive that either.
Yeah.
But so it's like, you know, and then not having the tools, because a lot of like, and it's really no fault of any of the guys that were like in charge or whatever for me, because they're falling in on the culture that they fell in on. And a lot of that from the Marine side, I don't know what you experienced, but it's like suffer in silence is a thing.
Yeah.
Suffer in silence. Like, dude, what do you want me to do? Pat you on the ass? Like, go do your job.
Yeah.
Every day's a tryout, dude. Like, why are you complaining? What do you have, headaches? Join the club. What else? Get out of my office.
Yeah.
But like, suffer in silence culture doesn't work anymore, you know? And like, I've gotten to have relationships with the World War II guys, and one World War II Raider in particular, that I have been really close with. And it's the same thing, dude. They have the same thing. They've been suffering in silence, and then now they're trying to come out and talk about it more in their 90s, you know, and communicate it. But like, dude, what can we do now to promote a positive thing for guys to, if you have a problem, it's okay to ask for help? Because there's a stigma in the veteran culture and the military community period of like, oh, if I ask for help, I'm going to get extra pages in my medical jacket, and then I'm going to be looked at as a liability, or people are going to judge me, or I'm going to be looked at as weak.
Yeah. I mean, man, I wasn't expecting to go into this conversation, but I mean, there's a lot of things that have to change, you know? In one aspect, you cannot fault the units for kind of the upbringing, you know, of what it takes to be an operator at that level. You know, there has to be the competition. There has to be the suffering. All that shit has to happen, I think. You know, where they're failing is the transition out, you know, and the overuse. The overuse.
Chronic stress.
The overuse of soft units, you know, especially the tier 1 units. You know, I mean, those guys are going, I don't know what you were doing. I never did this, but some of these guys are going on 2 missions a night. You know, they're hitting a target, they're getting intel from that target, and then they're rolling it right into another target, and they're doing it night after night after night after night for 20 fucking deployments, you know?
Nuts. And
And there's all these other units out there that could be doing something, but it's send these guys, send these guys, send these guys, send these guys, I mean, Afghanistan was a soft war. You know, a lot of Iraq was a soft war after Fallujah. And you got something?
what's interesting about Afghan and Iraq is that, like, whether we should be there or whatever, but like wherever we put forces, that's where the SIG act, you know, that's where the activity is going to be. If you put a base here, that's where like now it's going to start getting attacked, you know, like, and all that. So it's like, I don't know, dude, like
What do you
we
tell?
did all this work.
You know, and well, let's before we get into that, you know what I mean. We're talking about this issue, you know, and you're talking about mentoring kids, and I mean, it's just. Do you want your son to go into this?
No.
I don't want mine to go into it either. You know, would you stop your son from going into this?
To an extent, but if it was like something that was he was called to do, I wouldn't, you know, I would,
Yeah.
at a certain point I would support him, but you know, like I don't really, it's hard for me to recommend to people that they should do it, you know. For me, I come from a little different perspective because like I was kind of going to jail and then I got into the military, you know, from my military school experience.
Even the military is one thing. SOF is different.
SOF is different.
It's just different.
Yeah.
You know.
And
I think it was there's a lot of glorification, you know, that happens. There's a lot of war glory that gets passed down, and do you know what I'm saying? War is glorified, and
yeah,
it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's acts that should be glorified that have happened over there, but you know, ever since the age of social media, and they see, you know, cool guy pics, and they don't see the flip side of this, and that's what this, you know, that's one thing that this show brings, is it shows the other side of the coin. You know, it's like, look, yeah, there is a lot of cool shit that happens, and you do a lot of shit that you're never going to be able to do anywhere else, and then all that cool shit that you did is going to fuck you up for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And that's what they miss.
Yeah.
You know, and every time you say that, it falls on deaf ears until something like this conversation comes out, like what we're getting ready to get into with your transition. You know, all of our friends that have shot themselves, all of our friends that committed suicide, all, you know, whether it's pills, whether it's the trigger, whether it's, I mean, shit, I tried to kill myself in my fucking garage, you know, ran the car running. And not that I don't want to make this about me at all, but just about everybody I know has had one or more suicide attempts. I mean, that flag right behind you, my best friend fucking died of a heroin overdose.
Damn, bro.
You know, I mean, nobody really, for a long period of time, nobody really painted that picture of what the other side of this, what it looks like coming out of it.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's here. You know, the World War II guys didn't, the Vietnam guys, you know, it just wasn't talked about, you know, what it was like coming out of this. Everybody knew, I think, especially the Vietnam generation, that it had fucked those people up. It had fucked those guys up in the head. And, but nobody did anything, you know, and now this generation, I mean, we just got out of a 20-year war, you know, 20 fucking years. It's the only time in American history where somebody could have gone into combat and retired in combat.
Yeah.
The entire fucking 20-year career.
And look how those wars ended.
Yeah.
You know.
You think we should have been there?
Like, dude, my biggest thing from like Iraq, no, Afghan, when we left, it's like all the work that we did, you know, and like all the lives that were sacrificed and all the stuff to like get these strategic checkpoints in these places and do these things, and all the I.E.Ds that we had to find or function to get that thing. And then as soon as the day that we leave the village, all that stuff is collapsed.
Yeah.
For 7 months of work, dude. So it's like, how sustainable is that? But to be clear, like when I was over there, I wasn't like, I wasn't carrying an American flag or something like that. I was literally just like there, like with my team to make it through this thing and get back home, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it doesn't seem like the government's always on your side.
They weren't on our side. I mean, we talked about the ROEs in 2012 in Helmand province. They wanted to take the whole province, but we weren't allowed to shoot people that were fucking shooting at us if they happened to drop their weapon. What the fuck is that? That's a country that's behind you? That's not a fucking country that's behind you.
Yeah.
Guys that have been on the show like Eddie Gallagher, the entire fucking U.S., all of them, all the media, everybody hung that dude out to dry for killing a bad guy that he didn't even fucking kill. He did not even fucking kill him. You know, in the Marine that did kill him, who confessed in court, he even confessed, I'm the one that fucking killed that dude. And they still tried to hammer his ass. You know? Not just the Navy, half of the fucking U.S. population was on board to get this dude life in prison. There's the Blackwater guys. There's their pardons right there behind you. You know, all signed by them.
Yep. The MARSOC 7, the Task Force Violence guys.
Those guys. You know, we've become like a country where we just fucking eat our own. They don't even know. People don't even know what the fuck was happening over there. They don't know anything about it, but if ABC News or CNN or MSNBC or Fox or any of these fucking media companies say anything bad, you know, that a service member has done, everybody just jumps on board immediately. Fuck that guy, throw him in prison, give him the death penalty, fuck these baby killers. Who the fuck is going to go fight for this place with that kind of shit going on?
Well, the recruiting's down.
Yeah, sure. They can't even get anybody to join the fucking military anymore. I wonder why. You know?
Yeah. Culture eats strategy for breakfast.
These fucking people in this country are so fucking self-entitled and tied to their meaningless bullshit that it's ruining the entire fucking country, dude. Nobody wants to join the military. Nobody wants to be a fucking cop. Nobody wants to protect this place. Because the protected just fuck over everybody that actually gives a shit about where we live.
That's rough, dude.
Let's take a break. I gotta change my attitude.
All right.
You've probably heard me talk about my psychedelic journey last year and all the benefits that came from doing it. One being that I haven't drank in almost a year. I have not had any caffeine in almost a year. My anxiety is gone. My anger is gone. A whole list of benefits came from that, and it led me down this journey of researching benefits of mushrooms and fungi in general. In my research, I found this company called Mudwater. Mudwater is a coffee alternative with 4 adaptogenic mushrooms and herbs with a fraction of the caffeine as a cup of coffee. I have energy without anxiety, jitters, or the crash of coffee. What I really like about Mudwater is that they took the time to find the perfect ingredients to make a product to help you feel better every day. I genuinely believe that Mudwater is a good product. It's Whole30 approved, 100% USD organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, and kosher certified. Mudwater also donates monthly to the Berkeley Center for Science of Psychedelics, as Mudwater believes the country's in a mental health epidemic, and so do I. Go to mudwater.com/Shawn to support the show and use the code ShawnMud for 15% off. That's mudwater.com/Shawn. Use the code ShawnMud for 15% off. One of my biggest challenges in 2023 as an entrepreneur has been finding the right person for the job and making my company stand out amongst all the other companies in this extremely competitive job market. Now, how can you do that? You might want to try ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps you stand out. You can try it for free right now. It's ziprecruiter.com/SRS. Now let's talk a little bit about how ZipRecruiter is going to help you stand out amongst everybody else in the job market. ZipRecruiter's technology is going to send you good, quality candidates for your job that you can send a personal invite to your top choices to make an impact. Also, ZipRecruiter makes it easy for candidates to apply to your job. Instead of filling out a lengthy application, they can just apply with a single click of the mouse. Get your job noticed by the best and brightest candidates with ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to this exclusive web address, try ZipRecruiter for free. It's ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/SRS. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
All right, Prime, we're back from the break. We just wrapped up. Man, I don't even know what tangent we left off on there, but that's over. So, anyways, we talked about your first deployment. We talked about the inside attack, the active shooter, and you did some more MARSOC deployments. I know you don't really want to revisit all that stuff, and you're wanting to get into transitions. So, you medically retired from the Marine Corps. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I was temporarily medically retired, and then they took it away after 2 years, and basically, but long story short, I was at one of the SEER courses, and I was in a cage, in the captivity thing, and my back threw out. My back was throwing out. I was having back issues, where I couldn't walk. Once, it would like pop, and then I couldn't walk for a few days, and then it would like slowly come back,
Yeah.
And but I didn't know that there was something wrong permanently or whatever. So because I hadn't gotten an MRI yet. So when I was at the SEER course, and you're in the cage, and I threw my back down and I can't walk, and it was like they thought I was in scenario because I was asking for medical help and a stool and all this stuff, but it was like, no, I can't walk, So then luckily that was at the end of that, so I was able to finish, but then I got MRI, and then I have a L5S1 that's blown out, my bottom disc that's blown out on the nerves, and that's what's creating all of the problems, right?
Yeah.
So once I got that MRI, then that opened up a can of worms, like, hey, he needs to be on limited duty for 6 weeks, get another MRI, and do a head-to-toe assessment, right?
Yeah.
So then once they did that, then they started getting into like, oh, well, he's got like, traumatic brain injury, a lot of concussions. There's something going on this side with his eye, and then there's a problem with his inner ear, and he's not equalizing, and he can't pass his physical anymore.
Shit.
And so, like, traumatic brain injury, getting, like, medically separated,
Yeah.
that started from a back MRI. And, so anyway, and I was like, I was getting ready to go on another deployment, and, that wasn't like a combat deployment, but getting ready to go, and the medical officer called me in and was like, hey, because I was trying to get my pain meds and different stuff that they were giving me to go on deployment, get it signed off that I could take it with the medic. And he's like, hey, I know you're trying to work whatever it is, but I want to let you know that you're trying to hold on right now, and I'm ripping you off. Like, you're not deploying, and when you walk out of this office, basically, you need to start planning your life as to what you're doing next. Because you're not going to be an operator anymore,
Holy shit.
You're done.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah. Which was
Wow.
good, though, because he was like, that whole thing of like, you're holding on and I'm ripping you off, you're fucking done. Like, he was like, but the reason why is because if I deploy you and you come back, they're going to look at you as like, you're fit for duty. And like, none of your injuries are real, And so I don't want to do that to you or your family. So I'm going to make sure that you like get evaluated and get medically separated, like, go through the proper thing. If you can get healed and come back or whatever, but like you're not doing this job here anymore.
Damn.
You know? And so like, it's kind of like an identity thing because like you're all wrapped up in like, oh, I'm an operator and I am on this team and I add this value and like I do these functions on the team. And then that's taken away like that, you know? And it's like, and then you're not responsible. Like you don't have the same, because in the team, dude, you got to be ready to move at a moment's notice to do whatever is needed to do. And then now when you're out of the team and you're on a medical hold, you don't have to do any of that. So then it's like, you know, those guys are looked at like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that, it was like, damn. But it was a blessing in disguise because everything is, you know. But so I start going, the medical separation thing is miserable, horrible. Like, you know, 3 appointments a day. They're all just like, and what was wrong with you? And what was that? And then did anyone document that? And it's like, yes. And it's like, this is miserable. And this is my existence. And what am I going to do when I get out? And this is miserable, you know? And it's like part of it is being institutionalized in the military, where you're so dependent on your paycheck every 2 weeks. And then now you're getting out and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive without the government giving me that thing? And it's like, oh, well, here's your disability, right?
Yeah.
And here's your temporary retirement. So here's your retirement thing, and we're just going to send you to appointments whenever we send you, and you have to be at every one. You can't miss those. So make sure you go to those, and then here's all your VA appointments. And so, like, literally, dude, if I went, I don't go to any of those, but if I were to go to those, that would alone be a full-time job that I wouldn't have the capacity to make.
Yeah, they did that to me too. They make it they make it your job.
Yeah.
They will come up with all these appointments for you to go to, and they make it, it's like they make that your job. Your job is to go to bullshit medical appointments to doctors who don't even give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
You know, that's your new job.
Yeah.
For what, $3,000 a month?
Yeah.
Thanks.
And that's your prize as you get out.
Yeah.
And then you can get hooked onto that whole trap. But so that's the thing, right? So the whole medical board and all that stuff, it really it crushed my confidence, dude. Really bad, you know, because I'm like going to all these traumatic TBI things, and they're like, I'm miserable, you know, and I'm like having trouble, like I'm like, you know, doing extra movement where I'm like, I drive here and then I forget something and I've got to go back, or like I can't find my keys, or like I can't find my phone, or, you know, stupid shit like that. And it's like, and then I'll let that, like that starts taking over kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Because they're telling me in these appointments that I'm never going to be able to keep track of my keys. So I'm going to need all these other training things, and I'm going to have to like do all these like basically dummy proof things and like whatever else. But it's like all this programming, right? That I'm not going to be able to do it. That I'm basically like, you know.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of empowering someone to do something. It's like, hey, not only am I not going to teach you to fish, but you're not really going to be able to fish. You're not really capable of fishing anymore, you know, over and over and over. And it's just like, dude, I really didn't have any confidence when I got out, you know, at all. I remember it was so bad that I had to hire a lady because when I got into business school at USC, one of my teammates that was in my group was like, he had hired an organizer, right? And I had like all this clutter of stuff that I needed to get rid of from the military and just old stuff and whatever. But I didn't have the confidence to make decisions to get rid of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I was at that level. This is as I like getting out. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Not exactly.
So like, it's just very, like my confidence was so low that I didn't have the decision-making ability and confidence to be like, all that gear, I don't need out.
No shit.
I was
So
like,
you weren't
I was like, I
capable
don't know if I should keep it or not.
You
know?
weren't capable of basic, like,
I was just like,
rudimentary decision making.
I was like frozen in my like confidence and stuff. And so the only reason why I got into business school was because I got an email invite to go to an information session that was like right around by my house. And when I went there, I was like, there's no way that they would accept me. And when I was there, they told me that they would let me get in, like, you know, that I would get in and that they could waive my application process for that year, you know. So I knew I could get in because of that experience and what I've learned at that thing. So that gave me more confidence to even apply because I wasn't ready to do it that year. I couldn't take the deal that they offered. So I had to actually apply, and I got in the next year because I was still in the Marine Corps, dude. So it would have been too much for me to try to do business school while I'm doing medical, whatever, you know. But that was it worked out perfectly because I literally got out of the Marine Corps in like July of 2017, and I started business school in August.
What was home life like? Were you married yet?
Yes.
How was that going?
Awesome, dude. So
It was going good when you got out?
That's like been my saving grace this whole time, is like my wife and my kids.
Man, that's amazing. I've never heard that yet. No, I take that back. There, one time on this show, Gallagher's wife.
Yeah.
But
yeah, dude. My wife and kids are the number one.
But you, like, there was no, like, button heads.
Yeah. We'll get into that.
That's
as
what I
got
meant.
out.
That's
but
what
like,
I meant. Okay, there's been a lot of wives who've saved their husband's ass on this show. I meant, like, the butting heads. Like, usually the transition, the marriage is either done or it's about this close to folding.
Yeah, we have some really tough times.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, that's what makes us stronger, you know.
Yeah.
That strengthened our relationship, but she helped me to get through those times. So as I'm getting out, I go right into business school. But as I was getting out also, there was a SOCOM, there was a lady that worked at our unit that was basically plugged into SOCOM care programs. And so one of my former teammates was like having some serious problems living on the street and like some serious stuff. So she offered to send both of us to this event, right? That's was a healing. It was like a rapid response therapy is what it's called, but it was an event that was the Brian Bill Foundation, or that's from extortion, you know. That his dad, Scott Bill, started that thing. And so amazing organization. But so I got invited to go to this thing with my teammate, you know, as I'm getting out. And I fly out to Florida and he didn't show up. And so now I'm at this thing. I'm like, I showed up because I was supporting him. Like, I'm not doing the therapy. And they're like, no, like, you're here for the weekend, you might as well do it. We have all these like amazing therapists and support and stuff here. So I got a really good therapist from Chicago, like a very street guy that I connected with that did rapid response therapy with me. And so we did 2 days. And the first day he went in and basically hypnotized me, and then went in and was going in and finding like bad data files and things that were bothering me, and like bringing them to the surface and like dealing with them, kind of thing. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've not
all day
I've not done that method.
Yeah, and just went right to work with this guy.
Did it work?
Like, when he put me in the state, I was just like boom, 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 like trying to do as much work as possible with him to like clear shit.
Do you remember it?
No, not really. I remember some of the, like, you know, vaguely, like the room I was in and stuff like that. But
How do they hypnotize you?
they have different techniques, you know, where they ask you questions and they have you, you know, do this movement or whatever it is that kind of puts you in that trance. But they build a trust with you first, you know, which is what worked with me because I have trust issues.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's got to be. I would be a little uneasy walking into an office knowing that I'm going to get hypnotized.
yeah, and you just got like, so if you can understand the context is, dude, the guy's dad that's putting this all on, he's a Gold Star family member. His son died in extortion,
Yeah.
you know, and so you're there and he's literally in tears talking to you, telling you why he's doing that program and like how he wants to like create healing and opportunities for everybody to go back to their life and stuff. And it's like, it's kind of hard in that environment to be like, I'm not going to do this. Like, I don't trust you. And
Well,
I'm like,
I don't mean.
but I know where you're coming from. I
Yeah.
just want to give you like
Okay.
the vibe as when I was out there, dude, I was like, man, I have a special thing, like a thing with Gold Star family members. Like, dude, if you lost your kid or your husband or something like that, like that's a very serious thing, you know? And for them to start an organization and then now they're healing, bringing us out and doing this work. I don't know, man. I'm very resistant to everything, just like you with that, you know? And I was told, I don't know what this is. And I'm resistant to all the therapy stuff too. But I got the right guy, you know,
Yeah.
that was working with me. So day one was all military stuff. And then day two, he was like, dude, you did so much work yesterday. Like, what do you want to work on today? I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why, but childhood, you know? And then that opened up the Pandora's box, you know? Because I buried all that stuff.
Yeah.
So then I got access to all of it, and then it allowed me to start healing from it. One, because that's just like a cancer, dude.
So what is it like then? So you're hypnotized, and then what happens?
You're hypnotized, and then you know they start organizing, you know, things and working through files with you, like you know, of different timelines or traumas that you experienced from your, you know, and find like the root of the thing that really was like, you know, whatever it is, and then try to address it. Where they're like, you know, their techniques are like to try to close out that data file, you know, and they want to cancel it. But like, from my experience, it wasn't like a one-stop shop. It opened up Pandora's box when I came home, and then I was like, you know, I'm navigating through my life and starting business school and all this stuff, and then my son's like, you know, 7 years old. I started having the flashbacks of whenever I was that age, some of the shit that was going on with me, and then I started thinking like, if this happened to my kids, you know, for 1 week, or if I caught a peeping Tom, dude, at my house or something like that, like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I would like, you know, even do physical violence to that person, but there would be something that would happen that would be like a life change, a turning point for that person,
Yeah.
you know, and there's no possible scenario that I can imagine that would be going on for 3 to 4 years with my kids, you know what I'm saying? Without being like prosecuted, dude. So I started to go down that rabbit hole of like, well, why me? Why did I have this fucked up childhood, you know, da 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 da. And then like, why did I survive? Why did I survive the shrapnel, the insider attack? Why did I survive this time with the bullets? Why did I survive this? Why did I survive this car wreck? Why did I survive even fracturing my skull and making it through that? Like, it's just like going down this rabbit hole of like, it's all victim mindset. And so it started to play like that.
So did this help you, or did it?
This actually is what one of the things that opened me up, that brought in, gave me direct access to these memories, you know.
So where do you go? I mean, where do you go from there? Did you go back to the same therapist?
No, so
How
that's
long
like
were
a
you doing
remote
this?
thing. So then they flew back and we flew back here, and I stayed connected with them, and I, you know, did some calls with them and whatever. I'm still connected with them. But basically after that, you know, I started to experience like, you know, cause, when I got out, I was on like 15 meds, you know, 10 plus meds getting out, of like pain meds to antidepressants to, you know, migraine to whatever, different nerve, brain, whatever, lots. And when I would take even like half of it, you know, I would just be a zombie, dude. And my wife was like, it's like, you know, when you're in like a military brief or something and people passing out and you're like, what, dude, wake up. What are you doing? It's like, I felt like that was me, you know, like I was like a zombie, and my wife was like in the morning, like 8 a.m. or something, like I'm sitting on the couch and I took all my meds at 7 or something. And I'm sitting on the couch at like 8, like, you know, like, dude, I'm a go-getter, man.
Yeah.
I'm driven. I'm always working on, I have a bunch of projects, like stuff that's going on. Why would I be sitting there on the couch at 8:30 with my wife asking me what's wrong with you? It's because I'm on 15 meds that they put me on getting out. So first I had to get off of all that shit,
Yeah.
all meds. And they didn't want me to get off, you know? And like they don't want, so you just have to make up your mind and stand with that. But obviously if you need to be on a medication or whatever, you need to be on it. And I'm not saying that, but for my situation, all of it, I needed to get off, including Adderall. When I was in school, I was taking Adderall for focus and stuff. Horrible, bro. All of that stuff was, I feel like, working backwards, you know, and creating like, it's like, if my stress response is already way too blown, why am I taking Adderall? Nah, dude, that's horrible. That's a horrible combination, you know. And then I'm hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
Anyway, so getting off of meds, and then when I got to business school, I was like, I had 10 years sober of not drinking. But then being in groups, you know, being in this big group at business school, every other week, you're in the classroom with everybody. And it was like, I felt like I couldn't do it. Like I needed to, and everybody was drinking and stuff. So I was like, that's it. I'm just going to have to start drinking again, you know? And so I used that as like a mask because I have social anxiety disorder, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was drinking throughout my MBA program, but I was depressed. So it was like counterproductive. And then I stopped taking all my antidepressants. So then I was like, there's no masking any of your depression when you're like in that kind of state. So, you know, but as I was getting out, like this was happening in the background because all these things were happening that were gaining momentum, you know, like, my partner Don and I started these companies, right? That was like, everybody's like, what are you doing? And we were to explain it and they didn't really understand, but then it was like, started to catch on. And then it was proven, like things were actually like happening that we were saying. And it was like, all right, cool. And then, so Underwater Torpedo League. We were having actual games, and we had pools in Southern California, and then we were doing training. And so my first year out of the military, I did like a 6-week NFL training package, in 2018. And that was like like a learning experience, because I had been training a lot of military type,
Yeah.
And whoever else I've trained with the pool work, but training this NFL, this group off season, like it was a whole different thing. And then that just like opened everything up after that. So it was like, for 6 weeks we were at this pool in San Diego with these like 10 NFL dudes, putting them through pool training while they were in their off season. Right. And they were hyped. So like while they were training, we were playing the underwater sport, underwater torpedo, and we were training them, and they were learning to swim, some of them that were like pro bowlers that couldn't swim. You know what I'm saying?
Shit.
So then they were all like getting all this water confidence, and they were hyped, and they were playing this game and all this stuff. And we were creating a lot of buzz at that pool. And it was like, then David Marsh, who's an Olympic swim coach that runs a program called Team Elite, with a bunch of Olympic swimmers, came and was like, hey, I want to get involved with what you're doing. And this is like the week that the NFL program ended, then we started like connecting with David Marsh, got to start training some of the Olympic swimmers that were training for Tokyo, and then like got to work with Coach Marsh, and learn and stuff like that, and got exposed to that. Now it's like SOF, NFL, the Olympic swimmers, UFC fighters started to come, and Bellator fighters started to train with us, weekly. And so then now we're training with them and working with them through their fight camps, So it's like, dude, there was some exciting things that were happening.
Yeah.
Exciting at that time.
Wow.
But in the background,
All that's happening at the same time?
Yes. And it's very crazy, because in the background, like I would be driving from place to place and be crying. Like tears are just coming down. And I would have these like, I was severely depressed, and I was just like masking it and like putting on a front, like a tough guy front,
Yeah.
like I'm tough, but I wasn't. I was not doing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And so that works until it doesn't work. And so my second year of business school, like, dude, things were actually happening. We were in a business incubator program, San Diego Sports Innovators, which is like a Shark Tank thing. So I was like doing all these presentations and like getting all this feedback, and it looked like everything's moving in a positive direction with everything. And then training was like my main thing that I was passionate about, training all these athletes that had like fights coming up, competitions, all that stuff. So I was like keeping myself busy all the time. But when I wasn't busy, dude, I would start to get super sad and depressed, and it's like idle mind is a devil's workshop, start to like have these, well, why did my thing work out like that? Why did I survive? And like all this survivor's guilt and like imposter shit. And then like, well, I only had this many deployments, and why am I fucking have PTSD? Like, there's guys that have 20 deployments. Why am I fucking feeling sorry for myself? And like all this shit, dude, self-induced bullshit.
Yeah.
Traps. And so, one of my classmates who I didn't talk to before this, but he was a SEAL at business school, and he was like, dude, you got serious problems, man. Like, I'm going to connect you with somebody who I think might be able to help you, because I was like just wild at that point. I really didn't care. And it showed. And so I got connected with Marcus, dude, Capone. And so that's another connection here. you know, and that ended up in me getting saved. Is like this guy, Marcus, started connecting me with healing opportunities that I was not taking, you know, and connected me with a guy that's one of my good friends now, Miles. And Miles started connecting me with healing opportunities, and I wasn't taking any of them because I didn't want to go network. I didn't want to be in any group environment and all this stuff, you know. And so just kind of weird how life works out, because like as I was in this breakdown, like I was at UCLA Medical being evaluated for mental health, and they were about to put me into like a 4-week inpatient like program, you know. And I was not, like I was just, and while I was up there being seen at UCLA, I would be walking around the worst neighborhoods at night in LA.
Hoping for some shit to
Yes.
happen. Yeah. I've been there.
So just like weird, dude, like why, man?
Yeah.
But
Do you know why now you were doing that?
the best thing is just like that I can explain, trying to explain it, is just like it's real life in the street in the middle of the night in the hood, you know. There's no fake shit.
Yeah.
It's real 100%. Like there's no theater arts, there's no performances. It's like real deal. You can be a hard target or a soft target, or you can be whatever it is, but like the real like, you know. And so for some reason I wanted to like be walking around and doing that, but you know, I was going through all of this stuff, and like, you know, I think we talked about like having a never quit attitude. You have to have a never quit built into you to go through certain things. But then at a certain point, you have to understand how to surrender to, and how to forgive people, and how to let shit go, and how to surrender things. And so I didn't understand that quitting and surrendering are not the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I didn't know how to surrender anything. And I was holding all my resentment and all my stuff and all my grievances and all my problems and all that stuff. And it was just eating me alive. And I ended up watching the Avicii documentary. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
So Avicii is like a famous DJ artist that killed himself. And
Did he kill himself?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But there's a documentary out about his, it's documented that he killed himself. I wasn't there, so, but there's a documentary about his life and stuff. And so it's called Avicii Stories. But Avicii is one of my favorite artists. And I was watching this documentary, and it's like, you know, dude, they got him. He's like the most popular DJ in the world at the time, and whatever else. And he's like going on tour after tour after tour after tour, and he gets tired of it. And he's like telling all of his business people, like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, tired of all these shows. I hate shows. Like, I don't want to do it anymore. And whatever it was that he was saying during that whole thing, I was like, holy shit. Like, that's how I feel about every day. You know, every day is like a production for me. Like, I have to go out and be in lights, all these artificial lights with these loud noises and shit that bothers me, and like all the stuff that was driving me insane.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, and I was like, damn, like, I realized that I'm, you know, got the same shit that I'm watching this, you know, that's like suicidal tendencies. You know?
Yeah.
And so, for anybody that has any of that stuff, the best thing that I could say is just anchor yourself, you know, call one person, like connect with one person, you know, and communicate. And so I was doing some things at the time that like were anchoring, you know, like I had my daughter, like stuffed animal in my car, you know, and I had like things that I was doing every week. I got rid of all my guns, like all that stuff, you know.
You were really hanging on by a thread.
Yeah. And so they'd been sending me these healing things, and I was like, I'm not going to any of that shit, dude. I don't care about meeting another soft person or famous actor or whatever the fuck's gonna be there, you know? And so they sent me some private ones, you know? And this is 5-MeO DMT. And I've been listening to podcasts that they sent me with Mike Tyson talking about he did that. Mm-hmm. And when I was a kid, Mike Tyson was a heavyweight champ, and then he went to prison, you know? And then now he's back, and he's back in pop culture, and he's back fighting now, you know, and all this stuff. But he did the toe journey. I've known about Mike Tyson my whole life. So now I'm listening to him doing this 5-MeO DMT and him saying that it changed his life and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, maybe I have a chance. This has to be powerful enough to do something, you know?
Yeah.
So I got one set up for like a couple of weeks from then, you know, a private. But things were going so bad at the time that my wife had came home and was like, that week, and was like, you need to do something now. Like, it's gotten like, because I was not in a, you know, I was checked out, dude. And so she was like, you got to find a solution for this weekend. You can't wait till next weekend. We can't, like, you know. So I hit up.
So it was that bad?
It was bad, dude. I had a bag packed, and I didn't think I was going to be living at my house anymore. I don't know what.
Damn, bro.
Yeah, dude. So I remember I went downstairs in my house and I called the shaman. He was like, don't worry, brother. This is going to be the best shoot shake that you've ever imagined. And that was the last thing he told me. He gave me all the info where to be that, you know, in 2 days. And so, you know, that next morning I drove up to Stockton, California, like 10 hours, you know, like a maniac, you know, like, really just like, dude, I was just not at a point where, you know, I was just saying out loud, like I didn't understand about setting intentions and all that stuff before going into that ceremony and stuff. But like, you know, I was basically like, I can't do this anymore, you know, and that kind of shit. And then I got to Stockton, stayed the night, and then drove up to the spot the next morning, you know. And when I got there, I was like, man, I was like very scared. So scared, dude. But I have no option left. Like, but scared, like my life's ending kind of thing, you know. And like trying to find any excuse not to take this last turn to go to this spot, you know. And when I pulled up, it's like there was a car that pulled up and there was a little girl in the back seat that looked at me, that basically gave me some type of like okay signal of like, you're good. And I was like, you know, I find the gate, the address, gate code, go in, park my car, and I get out, and the shaman comes up, you know, like 100 pounds in robes and everything. And like, hey brother, are you here? Are you gonna stay here? And whatever. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm just doing this thing, and then I don't know. And so he's like, okay. So he takes me to the back. I don't know what any of this is, dude. So they start the ceremony, the healing ceremony.
You don't have any idea what's about to happen?
I know, yeah. I've been listening to podcasts. I know it's a transformational experience and all this stuff, but like, like, I don't know who's who there. I don't know that the other girl's actually a healer that works with him, and that this other girl is the only one that's there that's getting healed like me. But there's 4 other people there. 3 of them were healers, and 1 of them was getting healed. But I don't know any of, like, I'm just like literally just,
Yeah.
boom. And then, so, it's like a warrior's homecoming, dude, is the best way to describe it. Like, it's not anything like, people talk about like, oh, well, is it drugs or microdosing or anything like that? Like, this is not anything that you would ever, like, I'm talking about as a last ditch effort, but like, this is nothing that you would do at a club. This is nothing that you would do anywhere where you're out and about. This is like a once in a lifetime type thing, or like people that are suicidal or have serious things that they're working through. That's the kind of stuff. It's not like if you do it, it's not something that you can do like regularly. If that makes sense. So anyway, it's a hard reset, just like when your computer's messed up and your radio's messed up or whatever it is, and you press it and your phone and you turn it all the way off, you turn it all the way on, and then it works better. It defrags and it functions. That's what I needed. I needed it turn off and turn it back on. The hard reset. And I thought I was suicidal, but once I went through that process, I did whatever couple rounds of 5-MeO DMT that day. I haven't drank since before that. So I have more than 3 years of not drinking because of what I experienced in that ceremony,
Yeah.
And
What did you experience? What did you feel? You want to share any of that?
yeah, I won't go into like the visions, but I can explain some of it in that. At first, it's like feeling like understanding how to surrender and let go, and that grievances don't matter, and all these different things, and all the things that were holding me back were just like total bullshit, Like if you get pushed off a cliff right now, does it really matter that you're mad at your sister about this thing that happened, that she said 10 years ago when you're going on deployment? Let it go, dude. Like all those things, it was just like, let it all go. None of it matters, And then it started to reconnect me like with my ancestors and my family tree. And it started like showing me like to fix all these fractured relationships and stuff like that, and then I'm like, whoa. And then that's kind of the intro, right? The first part, which is like the handshake, where you do a lighter one, And
Are you doing the actual toad venom or are you doing the synthetic?
Nah,
I'm just
dude,
curious.
or toad venom,
You're doing the toad
the
venom?
real, yeah, the legit, like.
Okay. I'm just curious.
No, so the thing about the individual journey, because then you do the next journey, and that's a little bit bigger, right? It's a bigger dose, and so that's like what when you die, what gets released in your brain, that's like the same kind of dose. So then you're going through a reset process, in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And for me, that first one was very traumatic.
Yeah.
Very traumatic. And, it was like, showed me, like put me into a death, put me through a death situation, and then had me feel the impact on all my people, and, it had like a suicide note and some other stuff. So it was like, it hit super hard.
Wow.
And it was a life review,
How long did that last?
I mean, dude, the experience, who knows, maybe like time and space is really gone at that point, but
Yeah.
like 30 minutes. And then, but it took me a couple hours to come back from that trauma, from that dose. So it took me I thought I was dead, dude.
Yeah.
I thought I was like a little kid again. I was in this like rose garden. I was like, I didn't believe that my car was outside, like all that stuff. And I went through like a full death, experience, rebirth on the back end, but I wasn't feeling that yet. I was feeling that I was gone, and like I was wandering around this crazy place I was at in like a rose garden. There's like a little swimming hole. There's like these little mushroom, like, dude, I was like, man, this doesn't look real, man. And these guys are 100 pounds in robes. This doesn't look real. Like, I felt like I was like in the afterlife or something,
Yeah.
It was different from it was just a very divine experience. But
Did you, sorry to interrupt.
nah,
Did you wear a blindfold? Or did you, where did you do it? Were you outside?
yeah, I was out in the woods, dude. And I was on the ground in the woods.
With a blindfold?
No,
You didn't wear a blindfold.
no, but
You're the only-
you keep your eyes closed pretty much, because like that's part of surrendering, is like you close your eyes and you flow through the experience.
Yeah.
You kind of have to, like, and just
Man.
like like follow your heart, dude. Flow
Yeah.
through it and breathe. But what was your question, brother?
That was it. You're the only person I know, other than myself, that did it without a blindfold. But I opened my eyes after the death experience. I opened my eyes, and it was fucking amazing.
Yes, and for me, it's like a halftime show, because it's like when you think you're done and you open your eyes, that's when the second part kicks
Yep.
in. It's like, whoa, and it's a lot of downloads and stuff like that. But when I went into this one, that first one, like I had zero awareness of any of this stuff, that it exists, that it works, spiritual stuff, like connecting dots of things that are happening, like all that stuff. I had no awareness. I was just moving like a direct azimuth, like
Yeah.
I wasn't like seeing the whole picture of things. So it was crazy night and day, because when I left those ceremonies, dude, well, so we did one more to finish off. And that one was like normally you kind of lay back, and this one kind of propped me up and was like, this is how you're going to go into your life. Like these are the next steps kind of thing. And it was like, and I felt then like, because I wanted to share my experience at that time with all these people, like with 1 million people, of like, because I was thinking like, dude, imagine all the people that killed themselves if they could have had this, or people that are in prison for the rest of their life, dude, or someone that killed someone that was like, if they would have had this, they wouldn't have done that,
Yeah.
or whatever it is. If they would have had access to this, and you wish that. And I was like, dude, I feel like, like I want to make a huge impact with mental health with this breakthrough that I just had at this thing. This is like when I'm still in my car.
So, if you don't mind, I want to fast forward to when you got home. What'd your wife say when you walked in the door?
She was blown away, dude.
Like immediately?
Yeah.
Could tell like as soon as she saw you?
Immediate. Like eyes colored, looking youthful, fresh, rejuvenated, like new lease on life, like I remember she like gave me a new haircut, and like it was like, dude, night and day, bro. Like I was in a whole new level, a whole new dimension, and
Yeah.
like got a whole fresh start.
How about your kids?
Loved it, dude. Like, you don't realize it, but when you're in that negative state, it's a ripple effect, and it affects everybody around you, So I really hate that my kids had to be, involved with that. But like, dude, it's more of a driver for me to show up every day now and just be the best that I can.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny you mention that, because that's one when I came home from my 5-MEO experience, days after, weeks after, I realized how much of a negative impact I was making on my family. Because I could see how me being such a judgmental person rubbed off on my wife, and that was sad to see, and a lot of other things too.
Yeah.
You know, but that was the easiest to describe right now in a short period of time,
Yeah.
and to see that, knowing that you're the fucking cause of it, you know. Did you see that?
Yeah, but like, I just with, the breakdown that I had for, that period when I got out of transition, that put a lot of stress on my wife,
Yeah.
and so that really, I use it as motivation to just like show up as best as I can, and it really just, you know, because that's like my family is first, it's the most important thing, and like my kind of guiding light of what's important to me, and so, but like, dude, another thing is like, I've noticed that, we kind of, the people that you trust is who you'll show your true colors with, and like when I'm stressed, when I have like, shit going on or whatever, and I have one of my close friends that I haven't been around for a while, sometimes I'll go off on them,
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, I didn't mean to do that, but I realized why I did that is because I trust you that I can act like that around you, and whatever.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, dude, so my wife, like, and she was the driver for me to go. Yeah, she's like, you need to go now, So when I went, I was like, I mean, it was like a one-way trip. I didn't really I was out, dude. I don't know, man. I didn't think that it was gonna like be this experience like that, and then I didn't see the back end part of it, you know? So I was just going up there really scared, had a breakthrough experience, came back, and then, that's opened up all this stuff, since then.
So yeah, you've done several journeys since then. You've done different types of journeys. What's the most, other than the 5-MEO, because nothing's like 5-MEO.
That's it, dude. That's it.
If there was another one that you had a powerful experience with, which one? What would it be?
I mean, I would say the other DMT, the Changa, the bark.
Okay.
Which is a lighter form, but you could still have some pretty significant breakthroughs with it. That's definitely probably my second.
Can you describe that experience?
Yeah, so it's basically like you smoke it, the bark, and it's from the acacia tree, and you have an experience probably within 10 or 15 seconds where you'll be losing perception of time and space, and basically letting go of control, and basically your brain's not able to assign meaning to everything anymore. So you're like you're in this kind of vortex that I would explain it. Sometimes it's patterns and shapes and whatever else, but a lot of times, and all of this stuff is like with depending on what your intention is going into it, So for me, my intention has been to get health, like mental health, and like lean in and deal with any of this trauma stuff that has been brought up, you know. And so I'll go in with a coach and do that specifically to deal with this thing, to lean in and like face this thing.
So you get a very specific purpose.
Yeah.
Is it euphoric? Is it like the second half of the 5-MeO?
Yes.
It is?
Exactly. That's exactly like it, what it is. Yeah. It's
Do you feel the energy? Like you do
yeah.
with 5-MeO?
Yeah, and it's always like a different takeaway. You know what I mean? Like it's like, and sometimes it's deep, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's real simple, but it's like connects to a lot.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like an example is like, well, I did it and I had this transformational experience, but I had to piss. It's like, well, why didn't I just piss before the thing? Why don't I just like, and how, if I just did simple things like that, how much easier would everything be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I make it hard because I'm like, oh, I'll just wait, you know?
Yeah.
But that's that grunt mentality. Just grunt it out. It's like, oh, I'll carry all these boxes myself.
Yeah.
No, but what's up, brother?
I don't know if you experienced this, but when I did 5-MeO and I broke through and I opened my eyes, like I could see the ocean, I could see the trees, I could see the sky, and you always hear about the energy, right? The energy flows through everything.
Mm.
I didn't see anything that wasn't there, but I had this intuitive experience where I could see the energy flowing through everything.
Yeah.
But it didn't look any different than what it looks when I'm not on 5-MeO DMT. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sort
At
of.
all?
I've seen it. Like,
But it's like an intuitive, it's there. You're like, that's the fucking energy that everybody's talking about.
yeah.
Or not everybody, but the people that have experienced that. Is
Yeah.
that the experience you get on DMT without the death experience? You can feel the energy?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But dude, every time's different. And sometimes it's like, wow, this is like, there's a lot of visuals, or sometimes it's like, it's like it feels like a big release, where sometimes it takes you down a rabbit hole. And it's like, kind of plants a seed. And then that's the point, is every time that you do any type of work like this, it's like you do it with a professional one, and then afterwards it's integration, integrating. But like, if you think about it, we live in a society with a lot of like noise and stuff, politics, TV, Fox News, CNN, this, and dude, that's too much already information for me. Like, I'm on a low information diet at all times. No TVs in my house besides like the screen that my kids can watch movies on, and I can watch a UFC fight or whatever. That's it. Not TV programming, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And when I'm around other family members and people that have like, Fox News or whatever going all the time, it's like, not the vibe, dude.
Yeah. No, I get it. Let's move into stem cell. That's
Stem
something I've been
cell.
very interested in. I haven't done anything. I've got a lot of back problems.
Yeah.
And talking to you last night, it's like it's cured your back. And
Yeah,
so
dude.
I'm really, really interested in the stem cell stuff.
Yeah. And that's another connection, dude, because as you know, I'm staying at the mansion. Those are the stem cell guys.
Yeah.
And Scotty and Ed. But so you actually went to their event the other night, but those guys are awesome. And so I got plugged in. One of the fighters that I train, Dom Cruz, a couple years ago was like, dude, because I was throwing my back out. And he was like, you got to get in with these guys. So I got my first stem cell like 2 years ago. Intravenous stem cell. And then once it was all in, then they had me face down and they gave me 6 injections right in my L5S1 area of like B vitamins and O3 ozone shot just to create a lot of inflammation. And dude, ever since that day my back's been great. I've been running, like lifting heavy, training, like doing kicks, like all kinds of stuff, dude.
I mean, just like that, fixed it.
Like, I mean, confidence wise, it took me a couple of weeks to be like,
Nothing's gonna happen.
Stability and like,
Yeah.
Whatever. And another thing that works is just strength and conditioning, like doing at least one strength training a week of like keeping everything stable. But yeah, dude, that has been a total game changer. And I've gotten stem cell twice since then with them, CPI.
Mm-hmm.
And
where else did you get it?
Well, I tore my shoulder out, or I had a tear in my shoulder last November. And so I got another intravenous, right? But I got it because my shoulder was jacked up. And so,
It worked.
yeah.
Damn, this shit's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Do you know the
My
science
shoulder's
behind it at all?
healed now. Huh?
Do you know the science behind it at all, or
What? Not
Stem
enough
cell.
to where like
You can't explain it?
I would screw it up, but it's basically wizardry and magic that works.
Roger that? Wizardry and magic.
But yeah, dude, it's all about access to information and finding the real tools and the real things that work. If you're getting support in the VA and the Naval Hospital and whatever else, if you're getting actual treatment and things that are working for you, hats off to you, 100%. I have not had that experience. So everything that I'm looking for solutions for are outside of the conventional network.
What are you getting into now?
With work, personal.
Yeah, man, you got all kinds of good shit going on. You've got a book coming out,
Yeah.
right? When's
Yeah.
that coming out?
Who knows, dude?
Yeah.
But hopefully be rounds complete on that thing right around when Santa comes down the chimney.
And
At the end of the year, or like, finishing in January kind of
Okay.
thing. Yeah. But we're like we're like our pre-launch for that book just went live. So basically over the next 2 months, we'll be like getting our publisher. We actually just had a publisher hit us up today in this since we've been sitting here about
nice.
that. But like basically getting a publisher lined up that's going to be the right fit, and then pre-selling it, getting more feedback, and then finishing the book. It's probably 75% done right now.
You got it. You got a pre-sale already, though, correct?
Yes.
We'll
I'll
link
give you
that
the
at the
link.
bottom.
Yeah.
And then UTL.
Dude, UTL and Deep in Fitness is my main thing. I do a lot of like mentoring and coaching and stuff on the side, but my day job is I'm the CEO and co-founder of UTL and Deep in Fitness. So UTL we just finished season 11 Aqua Bowl last Sunday. So that's, I don't know if you saw any of the stuff, but like all of season 11 is on YouTube, the highlights. So you can go to YouTube and see all that, but
We'll link
UTL,
that
we're
too.
pushing to spectator sport. And
That's what I want to talk about. So you guys took a sport, you and
Don, Asian Rambo.
Asian Rambo, who you were in
Training
MARSOC with,
yeah,
right?
and we worked at the pool together. So all that, fed in. And then we got out at the same time.
Yeah, we played this at the team when I was in, or something similar.
Was it underwater hockey?
Yeah, it was. They sunk the nets. I think we used a brick. But
Yeah.
Anyways, you took a sport, or kind of a made-up sport that was popular in the soft world, and brought it damn close to mainstream.
Yeah, it's close. It's right about to burst. But it's viral on social, you know, and stuff like that. But it still hasn't hit mainstream. But it's close. But when we started, so we, you know, like even back when I was at Iraq and I was at Camp Al Assad at the end of deployment, and there was all these pictures of all the team guys that played on these water polo teams that were stationed at Al Assad. And I was looking at it and I was like, dude, why aren't these underwater football teams, you know? And that was back in '09 when I was in Iraq, you know, or '08. And it's like, those are the thoughts that I was having. And then fast forward to, why isn't this a sport? And then like I remember imagining teams, you know, and like, why isn't it? And then when we got out, you know, looking at all the different stuff, and then through different courses that I went to and coaching, it's like, well, where do my passions and interests intersect? And then that's when I started thinking, well, what happened to that idea about that sport, you know? And then I started looking at the landscape of underwater sports, you know, since the 1900s, and Olympic sports and the nature of Olympic sports. And I was like, dude, this fits with Olympic sport in nature and underwater sports. Like the underwater hockey and underwater rugby were started in 1940 or 1950. Right, from water enthusiasts. They still haven't really, like, they're really built out in a lot of areas. They are. And they have network and they have flow, and they're like pushing towards Olympic demonstration and whatever else, but like they still haven't popped to the surface. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas like we got a lot of learning from that. But like our goal, you know, since we started, is to make it a spectator sport, show it, that way we can get it to the Olympics and we could blast it everywhere.
Man, that's incredible.
Because like talking about it, you don't get it, you know? And then when we show it, it's like, okay, I get it. But when we started, dude, it's like that pack mentality that we're talking about, that like all those trolls and the group thing, and people would comment on all of our stuff like, this can't be possible. This isn't a sport. People are going to die. Where's the oxygen masks? Like all this stuff, right? And then like slowly all that noise over time goes away. It's like, you know, to where now, and every season we've worked out kinks, you know, because season 1 was like backyard wrestling, you know, like violent, like, you know, like the rules weren't set completely. So every season it gets safer. We line out the rules and it gets more professional, and we even add production value with like the officiating the sport and like how we announce the teams, you know.
That's awesome.
We had like you know, like the national anthem, like adding all these things that like, you know, it's sweet, dude. But the community of UTL is what makes it, that's what makes it like worth doing.
How big is the community?
Well, right now there's 6 teams that are active, right?
There's 6 teams?
Yeah. And so they just competed in the Aqua Bowl. So the top team that just won, it's the 3rd year in a row that Irvine won the championship. But basically, there's 6 teams, and you know, all of those players are like they're at the top of the food chain with everything that we do, right? But then we have Deep in Fitness. That's the training methodology that we started, right? And so Deep in Fitness is like kind of CrossFit, our version in the water, with underwater training and all of that we're basically spreading across the country.
That's cool, man.
And when we started, it was like, this isn't allowed, you know? So there's no underwater training allowed, and like, and all these things. And it's like, dude, we've been doing this, you know, we train close to 10,000 people since we started. We haven't had anybody like with serious injury or hospitalized or anything like that. Like, and we've done research studies proving the benefits of this. So now, like, we work with the Red Cross, we work with all these different agencies, to where now when we go into a pool, it's like, do we have 70 pools on our insurance? Like,
oh, damn.
You know, like, so to where but dude, it was to get pool 1, 2, 3, 4, it took a lot more work, you know, and stuff to get those. And now we've been doing this for 5 years, you know. When the pandemic hit, the week before it hit, the Today Show came out, and was hitting us up for like a month before that. Was like, dude, get your life ready because everything's about to blow up for you guys. Get all your legal stuff handled because your life's about to change. Cornhole's on TV every week, and what you guys have is like 100 times better than that, and your story and all this stuff. So Today's Show was coming out to tell our story, and then we were gonna like start blowing everything up. And that was the week COVID hit,
Oh man.
So the story never aired.
Will it air?
No, dude, this is March of 2020.
Yeah, shit. I guess
We definitely hit him back
it's
up.
about 3 years later.
Yeah, a throwback. The one that never was.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we went through that, dude. Like everything shut down on us, low, really hard times. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of ups and downs, doing that. But like this whole time we've had people moving out from the East Coast because they saw what we were doing online, and they literally show up to a session and they have nowhere to live. And then they move in with one of the people one guy moved in on Don's couch for a little while. And now that guy is in the Q course.
No way.
Yes.
No
So it's
shit.
like that shit's going on, bro.
Wow.
And it's like, that's a hope ship. Like how can you shut that down just because we're running low on finances or because we're going to have to figure this thing out? There's people
amazing.
literally moving across the country with no place to live to be part of this.
Wow.
You see you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that's big.
and then people at the pool are having breakthroughs. There's people that are going from holding their breath for 15 seconds to doing it for a minute to 2 minutes to 3 minutes to 4 minutes, like whatever that is, and having some serious breakthroughs around what's possible for them in relation to what they've been putting out,
That's amazing.
And
You know
it's
how
like,
empowering that is?
yeah. And when it's like, when they come up and people will cry and they're like, I've been holding back, or whatever, like top athletes, whoever you imagine. And it's like, what else did you think you couldn't do? What else wasn't possible?
Yeah.
Like, let's go get that shit, So, but dude, the water is a cheat code because when you go underwater, you're in a survival situation in a second. So that's a huge training opportunity right there.
That's true.
So it's like, dude, we can go to the gym for an hour and maybe we can get in the zone or something mentally after we start. But like, dude, we're going to have to get in the zone mentally when we go underwater fast,
Yeah.
like by the second go, or else you're not going to be down there. You're not going to be able to do shit,
Yeah.
if you can't control your mind. And so then it goes into like cognitive control, self-mastery, and all this stuff. But the methodology and everything that we use to keep it simple is like an acronym, and it's FREE. So focus, relaxation, economy of motion, efficient breathing. So just like we were saying earlier, focus, mental focus, closing out all the mental tabs and just being singularly focused on one thing.
I love that expression, close out all the tabs. Just like on a browser. Close the tabs out. It's a really simple way to put it into perspective,
Yeah, I mean, human performance is interesting. It's like an algorithm, but the way that I kind of makes sense for me is thinking of my mind or my operating system in relation to like a computer or a phone. And I'm like, oh, today I need to defrag and organize, or like I need to be in low power mode because I'm getting sick or, whatever it is, dude, or because I've been working way too much and I need to take better care of my health.
Yeah.
But focus, right? Closing out all those mental tabs and being singularly focused on one thing. Like, and the best example is like a UFC fighter, right as they call their name out, They get all this anxiety and build up, and it's like they've been in an 8-week or a 12-week training camp or whatever, and now it's like they made all these commitments to their coaches, to media, to all this stuff, and now it's like, now this shit's real. And it's like sometimes that, that's a lot to deal with, especially with like sometimes the crowd and, the emotions and all this stuff. So it's like letting go of if you have all these other tabs open, that's not going to serve you. So just being singularly focused on one thing, like having your purpose, your why of why you're doing it, and your intention, and like just being clear, boom, and moving forward. And then relaxation is energy expenditure, right? Being letting go of any extra tension or any extra energy that you're wasting that's not like performance enhancing or like leading towards optimal flow. So like, you can go into that. Are you an introvert or an extrovert, or like where are the people and places and things that you're getting your energy from? Like me, I get a lot of recharge from being alone, so that's an example. And then economy of motion is flow versus drag, right? So any extra movement or bad movement, like in the pool or moving around in any sport or in life, pattern of life, is drag. It's like extra movement that can be eliminated to add flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how can we identify drag, eliminate drag to add more flow? So as an athlete, physical drag with anything that you're doing in the pool, in whatever movement of whatever sport, and then mental drag is next. So what traps come into your mind when you're trying to hold your breath for 4 minutes and you're a starting pitcher for the Padres? What are the mental traps that come into your mind? What are the mental traps that come into your mind 2 weeks before fight week and you got your next UFC fight, and you're holding your breath for 3 minutes and you're cutting weight? What comes into your mind then? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then emotional drag, like we're talking about, like forgiving, like healing relationships, and like putting yourself around people that are going to make you socially resilient. And then efficient breathing. So really like being in the most optimal breathing pattern. But with all this stuff, I've been kind of talking about it like as it relates to life, but really like we started from a focus of how to optimal perform with the underwater training. But it just so happens that that's like directly related to being in any stressful situation and how to optimally perform. And that goes with tactical athletes, elite athletes from all sports, and high performing professionals in business and everything.
Yeah.
How
many athletes are you training currently?
Like me personally?
Yeah.
Dude, I probably work with about 40 different individuals right now.
Wow. So you got a full plate.
I do have a full plate, and I keep a full plate on purpose. And like, if I have things falling off, I'll add more or whatever, because I want to make as much impact as possible. And I love coaching, and when I'm coaching, it keeps me sharp, because I'm learning from every single person that I'm working with, with every single thing, dude. People that went to the Olympics that failed, I learned from all that stuff. And they carry the lessons learned back, from every athlete, from every struggle that they have, and like working through creating solutions with every person. Dude, I got to work with challenged athletes, adaptive athletes coming back from having a stroke,
Damn.
Losing their legs, and teaching someone how their new body works in the pool. Like, dude, that's the kind of shit that I live. Like, that's like, those are my favorite things.
How fulfilling is that?
That's it.
Damn,
that's
cool,
it, dude. There was a diver that I worked with, scuba diver that was an executive in San Diego that had a stroke, and his left side of his body stopped working, as a result. And so he got back in the pool with me for the first time since he had his thing, and was like, taught him. We created a way for him to have a combat side stroke on one side and a recovery stroke on the other side.
Oh, wow.
And it was dope, man. I was like, and so, and like my connection with people like that and like those experiences that I've had in the last 5 years of since I got out and I've been doing the training out, it's been, you know, I carry those with me for sure.
That's awesome, man. That's like,
I mean,
to teach, I mean, that's fulfilling.
yeah, bro. So, and Deep in Fitness is like, it's interesting because and UTL, it attracts a warrior class of people, you know? So it's not just military, dude. It's like, you know, we got a guy that's an MMA fighter that runs the program in Vegas, Deep in Fitness Vegas, and he's partnered with a lifeguard, you know, and they run a badass program out there, you know. But we've got like, you know, water polo players that were like collegiate, like national champion at UCLA that runs Newport Pool, that like is one of the best programs. We've got a professional surf program in San Clemente that's like all the best young surfers and all that stuff. And like in Miami, it's like CrossFitters, you know. We have Army Rangers that run the program, like, dude, all types of soft. And so it's awesome, man. It's like a crazy network of all people that it's military and civilian, but it's like a warrior class of people.
That's really cool.
That's interested
man.
in pushing to see what their potential is. You know, it's dope.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Well, brother, I think that's wrapping it up.
Nice, dude.
How do you feel?
I feel fine. No, man, dude. I love this show. Like, I watched the show, so it's, you know, kind of surreal. Feels like it was like a drop in the bucket, dude. But it's been great being out here, dude. Thanks for having me out. And this is a super special spot and thing that you have going, man. So I'm just stoked and honored to be a part of it. And you know, my intent coming on here is impact, you know, and I hope that anyone that heard this, like, you know, take something positive away from it.
Oh, there's a lot of impact, man. And I'm sure you're going to feel it as soon as we release this. You'll be getting emails, messages. It'll be awesome. But Prime, it was a real honor, man, getting to know you. I'm glad you came out, and I know we're gonna stay in touch. And best of luck to you, man. Seriously, real honor.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers, brother.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.